This episode of EDUKWEST is brought to you by Einstein, the social learning network. Einstein brings the power of social networking to learning and enables anyone to create an online learning community for resource sharing, collaboration, and discussion. Teachers can easily turn courses into social learning experiences. Students can form online study groups to research and learn together. Institutions can engage learners around their educational content. Sign up at einstein.com, that's EINZTEIN.com, and follow them on Twitter at EinsteinKnows. We thank them for sponsoring this episode of EDUKWEST. Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Kirsten Winkler. I am the founder of EDUKWEST, and as every week we are on the search for better education. This time I'm very honored to have Shmuel Meitar, the founder of Time to Know, with me on the program. Very happy that you agreed to have a talk today.
Thank you.
I know that you don't want to be the center of attention, but focus much more on the company and what you do with Time to Know. However, I think with such an ambitious project, I feel as a person you also have to be somewhat achieved in your life, that you are at the point, or were at the point of saying, this is my next big goal in life. So can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and maybe how it relates to what you do with Time to Know?
Okay, I might surprise the audience by telling them that I'm actually a failure of the education system. So everything I tried to do in school didn't work. Somehow me and the school system didn't find a way to communicate, and it was more about survival and within the system, but I really didn't achieve anything. Luckily, but it probably trained me in sort of dealing with problematic situations. So when I was able at the age of actually 16 and a half to enter the work world and business world, whatever I started worked well. So I had in my life an opportunity to build 10 different businesses with eventually nearly 15,000 employees, all the way from the yellow pages, computer software, cable television, and so forth. And I was able to use innovation to build businesses and change things in society. That brought me to the point, after sort of being in business for 35 years and actually selling my businesses, coming to the conclusion that I need to work for society because I do not like what I see, how the world is transforming. And when I say that, I'm speaking about polarization. Mm-hmm. I see wherever we go, I see polarization, if it's between countries, between nations, between people, and so forth. And I came to the conclusion that the one thing that can help change that is education. It's the one factor that if we could change and level the field for every person to be educated, we're going to have a much better society. And that's what made me about 12 years ago make the decision to devote myself to transforming things in education. So that's my story.
We have two main reasons then. On the one hand, the education or traditional education system failing for you personally, which obviously and luckily didn't prevent you from being successful in your professional life afterwards. And then, as you said, polarization on the other hand. And so basically, Time to Know has been on your mind for 12 years then. However, it really started, I think, then in 2004 when it came more into being as a real project, philanthropic at the beginning. And did you have at that time a specific, did you access the challenge with a specific mindset that you saw education is broken, or as a whole, or did you want to fix a specific problem?
My answer is I saw it in a holistic way. But I actually started 12 years ago by helping failing children. It's something that I still do, but then I understood that helping individuals will not change the system. So the change has to come in the structure. And when I looked, sort of after a few years, when I looked at the structure from a holistic point of view, I realized that the big failure is we're giving the teacher a job in this day and age that they actually cannot fulfill. Because the task of managing a classroom with a diverse group of kids coming from different backgrounds, with different cognitive levels and so forth, cannot be done by one person without the right tools. And my decision was to look at this whole holistic situation, see what's needed, and provide for the teacher the tools to give the teacher a good chance to succeed in its job.
However, in a much more complete way, that I see tools or technology respectively being implemented as more or less a thing you have to do, a fancy thing, but as you pointed out, from a holistic perspective, and when I look at what Time to Know provides schools with in a much more complete, and from the school side also asking for commitment from there, or for total commitment from their side.
Absolutely. Let me give you a little bit of sort of a bird's eye view of how I view the school. First of all, the role of the school today is going to have to expand. And the reason being because of the way our social structure, single parenting, less tribal society, more individual society, society needs a hub that all children have a fair chance to come in there and actually get something that will enable them to be equal in life. So this is the first role, I would say, of the school, and therefore the school's role needs to expand, not to shrink. The next issue is the teacher in the classroom. The teacher in the classroom is becoming really the coach and the mentor of the children, not just delivering knowledge. It's a much broader scope. But even the delivering of knowledge, it's sort of maybe 10, 20% of the teachers have the talent to, let's say, perform and deliver a message. But 80% of the teachers are just good, hardworking people who need tools to enable to deliver the knowledge they need to deliver in an engaging way, because our new kids they speak a different language. What engages them is not a teacher standing in front and talking. There are other things that they're engaged, and we see it all day. So really, my goal and my instruction to the people was, let's create like an operating system for the classroom, whereby the teacher can engage the children in the best way with a wonderful content, and in return, allow the children to work in an individual way, to be coached by the teacher, but constantly get feedback. The teacher will get feedback of how each child is doing, so the teacher can intervene immediately when the child is having a difficulty, and not 6 weeks later when they have a test and she lost him, and then the gap is so big where we can't close that gap. Gaps need to be closed instantly, like on a production line. If you have a reject in a production line, you don't wait or after sort of till it's in the storeroom and fix it and then bring it back. You need to fix whatever needs attention immediately.
Absolutely, yeah. So
this is really our goal, and then allowing also, whenever possible, the parents to be involved in being able to be on the system and be engaged and see what's happening with the child, or when the child is not in school. So you need an operating system whereby everybody, all the constituents, all the players in the game can see what's going on, interfere, get involved, and analyze. And that's what we need. And we are seeing that wherever it's implemented, sort of with that point of view, with leadership of the school system, we're getting amazing results.
As you said, building somewhat, if you will, the true classroom of the 21st century, going away from seeing the teacher's role as being the sage on the stage, and as you said, providing them with the tools they need to enhance their performance, but seeing it as a whole, and even implementing situations when the child is not in school, and also the role of the parents as, of course, part of being important for the education and scholarization of their children, and not that everything is then for these few hours a day happening in school. And so from 2004 to 2009, I have to ask you, did it start in Israel? Because I read since 2009 you have had the first classroom projects in, I thought, the United States, but also in Israel.
Actually, you're right, we started in Israel. So the first couple of years was about designing and building the system. It's not, and the thing was, this is not something you build in the lab. We were lucky, you have to build it in the field. So we approached the Ministry of Education that allowed us to start building the system within schools, actually already in 2005. And we were building with teachers and students, working with them to understand the dialogue, the needs of the classroom, and then we really created the first lab model. Once we had the lab model, we started in pilot schools to really field test it. So by in 2007, we were already testing in the field, and that's why only when we felt it's more mature, we know what it takes from a system point of view, and also content that we built, because the key thing is to use to build the content that will know how to do your job, that will interface with the needs, to give diverse content. There are many issues that the content has to be built with building blocks, so that these building blocks will actually relate to the need of every child. So only at 2009, when we felt the system is much more mature, we came to the United States.
I see. And probably does Israel have one unified curriculum? Because, I mean, due to the federal structure of the United States, it is probably not as bad that every single state within the United States has its own curriculum, but probably you still face the challenge of developing for several different curriculums.
Absolutely. Israel has a national curriculum in general. There are some differences, but in general, what you need to teach, especially in the core subjects that we teach, which is math, language arts, and English as a second language, it's a straight sort of curriculum. Obviously, when we came to the States, we're facing something we actually probably did not realize how complex something like that can be, but in the US they've succeeded in complicating situation very badly.
Maybe it was good that you weren't fully aware of the situation before actually going and trying to do something in the States.
I'm trying to figure that out, whether it was good or bad.
One key word when talking about time to know is the constructivist learning approach. And from your previous answers, we sort of got an idea what it means. But in a K-12 scenario and curriculum, how did you manage to implement this underlying notion or the importance of the constructivist approach?
You know, we really believe it's about blending.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is that we need thoughtful students to develop, because we know today that children that go through school need to be prepared for the new world, and probably what they learn in school will not be relevant when they go out to their job, because things are changing so fast. So basically what we're trying to achieve is enable the children to go through the learning process by engaging them and building their knowledge through practice. So it's not just rehearsing. We are against rehearsing information, because once you rehearse and just do quizzes, so you might be able to pass a test, but it's not knowledge that's absorbed into you.
Exactly.
So
when I have a good memory, I can basically fake the result.
So really, our concept is building the knowledge base through individual work. And the work that each child does enables them to reach an understanding level and an approach to resolve issues rather than just learning by heart what they need to learn. So this is really our approach: engaging, practicing, and building the knowledge base for each child according to his or her ability.
So from the school side, you ask for commitment as well, so not doing things half-baked, but really being committed of adapting your curriculum, the technology. How do I have to imagine this when you agree to work together with a new school?
You touched on the most important point. It's about leadership and commitment of the leadership. And we see it actually in some places even by city even. If the mayor of the city is committed to change, we see an amazing result. If we see, as you say, that a half-baked situation where people say, yeah, we like it, and they use it as a gimmick, you don't get the results. It really needs, because this is a it's a paradigm shift. And in order to create a paradigm shift, you need a leader, mainly in the school. It would usually be the principal who takes it and says, I want to go to the next step of teaching and getting better results and improving the whole learning system. And you know, I'll give you just a small, we're finding that in schools that have implemented it in a good way, the attendance and discipline of the children increased by 50%, not by 5%, by 50%, because suddenly we get children who are sick coming to school. We're seeing children's no discipline issues in the classroom, and the whole interaction has completely changed. So really, if it's done the correct way, and as you say, it needs the commitment of the leadership, it needs the minimum technology. As you know, we need broadband and devices, like what we're doing right now. Without broadband and devices, there's nothing we could do about this interview. So this is really what we need. And once we had any device, which could be a tablet, could be a laptop, could be sort of some device on the child's desk, the teacher having a device, and projector, we're in business, and connection to the cloud. Exactly. These are, I would say, the pieces. But the more important thing is the leadership, because, you know, we could do with every 2 children having a device. We could do with some schools where the teacher just has a device explained and then going and using and working off. We can improvise wherever necessary. But the leadership, if we don't have it, we can't do it.
Mm. And you mentioned the figures of motivation, that even sick children don't want to miss a lesson but come to school, and also in terms of performance, you have significant better performance from your pilot classes compared to normal classes of up to 10%, which is really remarkable. Yeah. Also compared to other people or other programs like Khan Academy, who gets a lot of attention currently in the United States, where the difference in performance between a classic teaching setting and the classrooms using Khan Academy is not, or maybe not yet, as significant in percentage as it's for Time to Know.
Correct, because when we're getting these results even after 1 year, which usually, you know, education is a very short period. But yes. For instance, the Khan Academy, which I think is a wonderful tool, we are trying to blend it, sort of actually to blend it, and because it doesn't have this holistic approach that we are bringing to the classroom. So by bringing their material into the classroom and using it in the holistic way that we use it, that will give the opportunity to increase the results much more. And we are actually we're starting now to engage with other publishers. Mm-hmm. What we did was we created the infrastructure and we created the methodology of how to create interactive content, so you achieve results. Now we're inviting and we're starting to engage with publishers to produce this interactive and run it on our platform.
This is very interesting. So up to now, I have to understand, as you are working together in your team, having different experts, everybody a professional in their field, so ranging from curriculum, of course, but also creative people. So up to now you have produced everything in-house, and now you open yourselves to publishers if they meet your expectations with their content then.
Absolutely. We did that in order to create the knowledge and the know-how. Now that we know how it should be done, we're starting to partner with other publishers in a few countries in order to take the knowledge, because they have been building up knowledge over many years and content. You don't want to waste all of that. You just want to take and transform, because teaching math is still teaching math. And if you need to know equations, you need to know equations. And if you need to know sort of anything, sort of fractions or that. So we are now engaging with publishers to produce their content in a new way and in an interactive way.
That makes sense. You don't have to invent the wheel every time again, but if there are certain standards which exist and have proven, you can take this, adapt it, and probably enhance it and teach it in a different way, so in a more effective way, of course.
Correct. And also, it will be easier to implement the change, because then it's stuff that the teachers know already, the system knows, it's been approved. Coming with something completely new, as you know, the system being so conservative, you don't want to come with a revolution that you'll have a war over. You'd rather want to take what's existing and transform it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you came with something new. So I assume that it hasn't been as easy as possible with every single school or district, specifically as you also do teacher training. So, which indicates that the teachers have at least in the way how they teach, and then of course the technology, but also the curriculum. So on various fronts they have to be open and accept new things. And as always, when you are in a established and conservative system, this can be challenging.
I'll tell you two things. First of all, my biggest surprise in this venture was the teachers. I was told that the obstacle are going to be the teachers, and we're finding exactly the reverse. We're finding that the teachers are wonderful, and the teachers are really hungry for change and a tool that will help them do the job. So that was our first wonderful surprise, and we're enjoying the relationship. The next thing was how the teachers are hungry for support. So when we come with the system to the teachers, and we are very well trained coaches, they actually, this is our most scarce resource, because the demand for our coaching is much greater than actually we've got. So the teachers are really, teachers and principals are constantly pushing us, give us more coaching, let your instructors come more and help transform what's happening. So this is really, and it's, by the way, everywhere. It's not that it's in one place. In Israel, New York, and Texas, we're getting the same, and if we would have double the amount of instructors or triple, they could all be busy.
It's true. I am also seeing this almost every day, that teachers are really willing and open. If you are in the public education system, of course not only in the States, in Europe it's the same, probably in Israel not so much different, you are faced with different challenges of what you can do, what you have to ask for permission, and well, in times of budget constraints, I think, many points sort of form then the whole picture. But everybody is committed to change education for the better.
Yeah. So it's just wonderful to work with the teachers.
And you provide the teachers also with a learning management system, so an LMS.
Yes.
And what options do they have, and how does it enhance their knowledge about their class or their performance and their teaching in general?
It starts what we call the digital teaching platform, rather than LMS. It's really a platform that starts off with the teacher planning the lesson. So the teacher enters the platform actually before coming to the classroom and is able to plan what she wants to teach. She's got a library of content. She's got a suggested content for the subject she wants to teach, and she can mix and match what she wants to introduce in the classroom, which usually is made up from an introduction whereby the topic is introduced in a very engaging way. Then, so she's able to explain what she wants to teach. Then she could decide what she wants the children to practice. So she could give practice tools to the children. So each child, and within the practice, she's got levels. So she can divide the class into levels of ability and give each group of children another a different piece of the puzzle. So the children are working. While they're working, the teacher gets constant feedback of what's going on, so she can either interact with the child by messaging or go over to the child and explain or help or take a few of the children to the side and do a side explanation while the rest of the children are working. When the children are done, all their work that they've done, they send to what we call the gallery, which is basically the screen so that the whole class can participate in the work that the rest of the children did, see, engage, compare, and have a dialogue. So you've got individual work, you've got group learning, and then you have a debate about what's going in the classroom. While that is going on, for the kids who move faster, she's got additional material so that kids won't be bored. So when if they finish ahead of the game, she can give them more work to do to keep them busy. That's why they're happy, so she doesn't have discipline issues. Now, then all of that sort of comes to a completion where she really doesn't need even to assess the kids, because as they're working, it's really continuous assessment, and she really knows all the time what is the knowledge base of each one of the children, and she knows how to continue either with the child or the classroom. Same thing with homework. Through the system, she gives them the homework. They do the homework, so when she gets it back, she knows who did the homework. The homework is already checked, so she doesn't have to spend the time on checking the homework, and she could just give feedback to the children. One of the most frustration things for children is doing homework and not having the teacher address the homework that they did. So just by addressing every piece of homework and giving feedback to the child, that's huge. And obviously then through the system, the parents can move in and really see what happened in the classroom, or the child at home can go back to the lesson that took place and really redo what he did in the classroom if he had difficulty. And all of that is on the cloud, whereby everybody has the information and the whole dialogue is going on, and the teacher can also prepare her own lessons, put it onto the system. Children can prepare. We've got today teachers and children producing lessons with video. And they just go out, they shoot in something, they bring it in, they add it to the curriculum, and the whole class is learning from content that was created by the class. So it's an amazing experience.
A very complete approach. So you have both the stronger children always being engaged, whereas the weaker ones not feeling that they are falling behind and the class is moving on too quickly for them. The teacher always has the overview. As you said, constant assessment also takes away pressure from the child of now being the day of the test or the evaluation process. And interaction of everybody, or let's say both sides, can produce content, and also the parents have an overview of what's going on, instead of only meeting with the teacher probably every 6 months or so and then having a talk.
Correct.
Great.
That's the idea. It's the holistic approach.
From the technology side, over the past couple of years, laptops being sort of the dominant device, I would say. Now we are seeing a shift more towards tablets maybe. Do you, for Time to Know, do you prefer one or the other, or are you basically open, seeing this is the direction technology evolves and we adapt to it with
Absolutely.
the system?
We want to adapt to the evolution in technology, but what at the end of the day, we have to go with the schools. And this sort of, you can't say this is the device you need to use. It's whatever the school system decides, and as long, our feeling is as long as they have a device, which I would say is not smaller than an 8-inch screen. Larger is okay, but basically anywhere from 12 to 8 inches, any 13 maybe, that would be the right screen for the children to have, either sort of, and as long as they have a cloud connection, we're in business.
And you in a previous answer you stated that you think Khan Academy and Khan himself are doing a good job, and that it adds to the evolution of the classroom, of the traditional classroom. And we now also have the term increasingly being used of the flipped classroom, or the flipped classroom model becoming more popular. What do you think of that?
Our feeling is it's got to be blended.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have, the children need coaching. The children need sort of a mentor working with them while they're learning. Some can do it on their own, but that's not the average. So you need, as I said in the beginning, you need the classroom environment.
Yeah.
You need the school environment that has a lot of other roles in our society. And allowing the children to do things on their own is fine, as long as it stays within a social environment of interaction where children are going to really be the people of society that we need them to be.
Mm-hmm. Your time is precious, and we just have a few minutes left. However, I want to touch at least briefly on another question. So as you developed your curriculum, and you have the sciences, also arts and literature, and now we hear something, we increasingly hear of the rise of programming, knowing how to code, and Israel, Silicon Valley seem to be, at least for us in the rest of the world, always some countries or an area very forward on technology. Do you think that computer science or programming specifically will make its way in K-12 curriculums anytime in the future, and do you think it's important? When you want to foster critical thinking?
For us, it's another subject. Mm-hmm. We are willing to teach any subject. Any subject that's decided by the policymakers who will decide that needs to be taught, we're ready to teach. Mm-hmm. I personally think that because everything that in our life is going to be done through devices, that's sort of the knowledge base. I sort of suddenly find myself that without one or two devices in my hand, I don't move around, and I'm constantly online, even when I'm in a taxi. Mm-hmm. So yes, we need to have the knowledge to interface with these devices, and from time to time, really create our own. We can't only rely on applications. We mm-hmm. also want every child to have the knowledge to sort of change an application, to add something, to know. So I think it would be good to at least have a basic knowledge of programming for every child, so he feels better in this new world, and he feels he's not controlled by outside software, but he's got the right to determine what he wants as an interface within the work he does.
And probably also foster critical and logic thinking, and seeing behind how things actually work.
Well, absolutely. The key, I think, to society is reinforcing debate, mm-hmm. reinforcing people who are willing to challenge constantly and discuss what needs to be discussed.
So Shmuel, I have to thank you very much for the time you took and had this wonderful talk with me. I am sure that people, our viewers and listeners, want to know more about Time to Know. And where would you like to point them? Where can they learn the most?
Obviously, our website and timetoknow.com, mm-hmm. and obviously approach us there are references, and we'll be willing to answer and work with anybody who wants to work with us, because at the end of the day, Louise Duba is our marketing manager. You can approach her. But if you go to our website, contact us. We love to engage with anybody, because we can't do this job on our own. We need as many people who want to join us in this endeavor.
Thank you so much again.
Thank
it was
you,
an excellent talk,
Kristen.
and
Thank
I really
you.
enjoyed it.
Pleasure, and thank you for helping education.